we're live, just waiting for a few more people to come in.
But just as a reminder, just as a reminder, this is Pitranomics, and I have a 10-part strategy about how to grow, protect, and transfer wealth. So those parts don't have to be done in series. They can be done concurrently. You can go back and forth just as long as you hit all of them. And today is kind of a double whammy. It is Who's in Your Lifeboat. That series talks about who's with you. Who do you allow to take up your energy? Are they helping you to paddle, or are they causing you to sink? Which for me means, are they helping you accomplish the goals you've set in life, or are they draining off your resources so that you're not optimally using them? It's very important to have a system to identify those very quickly. Even when you've learned how to do it really well, you can get tripped up by letting someone in your life that seems like a friend or seems like a colleague, and what they're doing is sabotaging what you're doing. So be careful, be ever vigilant that it looks like someone in your life is helping you do what you want to accomplish. Furthermore, the other part is get professional help. Now, for me, having a good mentor covers both of those, because generally speaking, you have a really good relationship with your mentor, but they're usually adept professionally at something that you want to be able to become adept at doing. This is weird, I'm trying to look at both of these cameras, so just give me a break. Anyway, my mentor, 𝗀𝗲𝗿 is amazing in real estate. He started from less than nothing and has built an empire. Now, there are some people that, you know, may not gel with him as much as I do, but he is what I want to be as a mentor. He's dedicated, he's focused, he's smart, he thinks outside the box. And without him, I would not be where I am. Now, the funny thing about us is that we don't always agree on everything, but I respect the dickens out of him. I hope you learn from some of his gems. The way I met him, I don't know if he'll share this, I'll get my side of the story out. We met at a property in South Dallas, and I went and looked at it. He actually said, hey, go look at it first, and I did, and I passed. And then he went and bought it, and then my mind was like, you know, what is he doing? You know, that's not a good deal. Well, it was a good deal. Not only was it a great deal that I found out later, but in a networking group of about 300 people, he called me out on how I missed this great opportunity that he graciously allowed me to pursue first, and talked about how great it was. And I thought to myself, anyone that could see what I can't see is someone I want to get to know better. And so we've been, well, he took me into his mentoring group and we became friendly, and he's just one of the really special people in my life for whom I'm intensely grateful. And he'll be on, I guess, in a couple of minutes. So I just wanted to let you know that's who's coming on. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask me before he comes on? No? Okay, so when I don't get participation, I do one of two things. I ramble on about something else, or I will call somebody to say, hey, come on and let's talk. But I just want to share one thing about the Lifeboat series. This is coming from someone I know that's struggling with it. Even though someone's in your family, even though they're blood, you can love them without having them take space in your lifeboat. And what I mean by that is Pitranomics is all about marshaling your money, your energy, and your time. Those are the resources I focus on because they're finite. And once you realize what it is you want to accomplish in life, you will optimally marshal those resources toward the accomplishment of your goals. It's inevitable. Once you know what it is you want to accomplish, once you realize just how finite those resources are, you don't waste them. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Now, the thing is, family, even though they're blood, may not have your goals. And not only might they not have your goals, they might not respect or encourage you in yours for whatever reason. Maybe they feel that they know what's best and they're trying to direct you another way. Maybe there's some jealousy. I don't know. I'm an only child and I have no cousins, so it's been really easy for me to keep family out of my life that wasn't congruent with my goals. But I would like for all of you to please remember, if they look like a friend, but they make you feel bad about yourself, or they make you feel like the goals you've decided are worth living are useless or that you can't do them. And they have nothing encouraging to say. And everything is all about tearing you down. Even if they're saying things like, well, I just want what's best for you. I don't want to have you suffer disappointment. I don't want you, whatever it is their words are, if they are encouraging you to use your wings and fly, helping you to fly better, even if they're not on the same journey, then they need to have limited access to your resources. And those are the resources of money, energy, and time. So that's kind of my spiel about that. I'm very passionate about it. And although I care for a lot of people that I don't necessarily spend time with, I have to create the boundary. If you drain my energy, if you make me feel like I'm no longer energetic enough to do what I do, or if you're causing a big, big drain on my financial resources or on my time resources, but you aren't helping me get to where I need to go, then I'm sorry, you gotta go. And I try to help people that I care about see the same thing. You can't blast anybody on the head about that. You just have to lovingly encourage. You have to say things something like, and if you have a friend like this, so are they feeling, do you feel supported by them? After you spent time with them, do you feel energized or do you feel drained? Oh, they're giving you advice about such and such. Well, how well have they done in such and such? Are they doing well? Oh, really? Oh, well, what's the source of their advice? Ah, okay. And the other thing that you might want to remember too, it touches on the get professional help. You have to realize that your professionals need to understand, and be congruent with your goals. So I want to say, for example, years ago, well, everybody remembers back in 2008 what happened in the markets. And before that, we were all cash. We were just piling cash. So when the markets hit and the stock market tanked, we were like, oh, okay, so we won't get into the stock market right now. But then we eventually started shopping for advisors. And I remember one in particular. He was very well dressed, very handsome, well groomed, lovely office, expensive furniture, looked to me about 23 years old, and started advising us what we should do with our money. We should do these risky investments or whatever that I didn't really understand. And I sat there probably for about 3.5 minutes before I said, hey, are you married? And he was like, no. Do you have any kids? I was like, no. Do you own your own home? No. I was like, are you willing to show us your personal financial statement to see how well you've done in the past 5 years? And he was like, well, I don't really have a lot of assets. And I was like, why am I wasting my time listening to you? I got up and left. And my husband kind of looked at me like, okay, that's my crazy wife. And yeah, I'm his crazy wife, but I was not going to waste my time, not to mention pay babysitter money to listen to this guy that had nothing valuable, in my opinion, to say that was relevant to me. Now, maybe he had something valuable to say to someone else. I'm not going to pass judgment on that, but he had nothing that he could say to me. And that is the kind of thing I'm talking about. The first part of Pitranomics is to understand what your goals are in life, what it is you want to accomplish. Those goals that if you don't accomplish, your life doesn't feel like it has purpose. Once you dig down into what those are, and then you take a look, well, what resources do I have to accomplish those goals? Then, let him release. Then what happens is you realize, hey, Jawad, how's it going?
Good. Can't see you. Am I supposed to?
Well, I can't see you. I see your lovely picture, but I'm here. I was just.
What about now?
Nope. But that's okay.
Whatever.
So I didn't want to.
Promise you I'm way more handsome in the picture than I look right now, so that helps.
He is exceedingly handsome, not to mention very tall. What are you, about 6'4", Jawad?
Yeah, I'm 6'4".
Yeah, so he's tall, he's handsome, he's charming, he's smart, he's ruthless. He is my mentor. I am so grateful for him to be in my life. He has basically built an empire from nothing. When he tells me what he started from, I'm like, well, I'm so glad that you survived that to be here to teach all of us who are willing to listen. And I hope you take advantage of the time. I want him to just speak about whatever it is he wants to speak about. And if you have questions, then cool. I'd love for him to take them. But Jawad, welcome. Thank you for coming. And do you want me to introduce you as Jawad, JD, Jake? What would you like for people to call you?
It doesn't matter. Any of it's fine.
Okay, so all of it's there. I'm going to pass it over to Jawad.
Well, I mean, is there anything particular that you want to add to me or specifics on what to talk about?
Some of the questions I get are, what makes a good mentee? How do you find a good mentor? How do you succeed in real estate? Which seems like a really big question. It has to be pretty specific towards your goals. Why am I successful? So I'll ask you, why are you successful? Can you share what characteristics you think are most crucial to what you have succeeded in doing? And then, of course, anything after that. Well, you could say how great I am, you know, the greatest mentee you've ever had or something like that. But okay, so go ahead.
Okay, well, to start off with, I think that people need to put a lot of thought into who they want to be a mentor, because everybody in the world is coaching these days, and a lot of people, if you really pay attention, aren't even in the field, you know, and they might claim that they're retired, or they might just claim that they do it, but if they don't have properties that they can show you, if they don't have HUDs, if they don't have experience that they can prove to you, you know, you need to make sure to validate the source. I can validate Julie because I've been to a lot of her properties. And, you know, she does the single family houses, the land, the commercial properties. So I can definitely validate her. But that's something that is very important, is to just always check that the information you're getting is true and that somebody's not just repeating something they read in a book or heard somewhere else. As far as finding who would be a good mentee, I think that's harder than finding a good mentor, because there are a lot of people that want to be taught, but I've learned don't actually want to be taught. They just want you to agree with them, or they already think they know everything. And then you're like, well, why do you want me to teach you if you already know it all? And I'm sure me and Julie are both thinking of a few people off the top of our heads already with that kind of attitude. Thanks with it. But I didn't say any names. But
yeah, no names.
It's hard. You have to be willing to learn. That's the most important part. Still to this day, with everything that I've done and with everything that you've done, Julie, like, we're always willing to learn. And I'm never like, no, I'm 100% right and you're wrong. If you can show me that you do it too, I want to know your way also, because I want to know, is your way better than mine? Yours works, mine works, but, you know, is there a different way? You know, Ford, Chevy, and Lexus all have different cars that work different ways. They've done a lot of partnerships together throughout time. And it's hard because you have to be able to be open and accept that there are other ways, and some ways may be better. And
Jawad, you're breaking up a little bit.
Better for you and better for them. And oh my gosh. All right, it says I got full 5G. Can you hear me?
I can, whoops, hold on. I can hear you now. You broke up a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, it says I have full 5G. But the biggest thing is just, you really got to be honest with yourself. And with any business or real estate, you got to like ego check yourself a lot to make sure that you're willing to learn.
You know, Jawad, I won't mention any names, but there was one person you had in your group that you had a lot of trouble with. This person wouldn't be quiet long enough to learn without giving away.
Both thinking it's that person.
Yeah, without giving away that person's identity. What are some of the glaring characteristics you saw that made it difficult to help her with her business?
Well, everybody, I mean, you met everybody, and out of everybody, she definitely started off with the most problems, which after getting to know her, I could see why. But, you know, everybody wanted to help her, and, you know, like I recommended my bookkeeper to her. I recommended my CPA because she didn't have books. She hadn't filed taxes. You know, and I tried to help her with a lot of her problems. But the second I said, that's how we can fix this problem, she would like shut down and be like, I don't have problems. Like, everything's great. Well, everything's not great. You're $200,000 in debt. You haven't filed taxes in several years, so we can't even like refinance your properties and things like that. And that's why I was saying is you always have to like check your ego to make sure that, you know, you're allowing in help and other opinions and just other points of view, because I would definitely say that you are the one that's come the farthest, but you're also the one that wanted to listen the most. And like, you know, we don't always agree. But even if we don't, you still want to know what my opinion is and why. And, you know, then you choose what works best for you. But I've definitely learned that you can't be stuck in your ways. And that's for any business, not just real estate, but you just have to be open to the thought that there's better ways out there. And there is, you know, there's even better ways out there than what I do. I learn something better every day, every single day.
I had to unmute myself. One of the things that happened to me last year is I was at a networking function and I heard someone speaking, and I was so horrified by the advice they were giving. I literally thought to myself and said to my friend, if people listen to him, they will be in jail or they will be broke or both. And I was like, I don't know why the room was packed too. I don't know why people were coming to listen to his BS. So Jawad, do you have any thoughts about the number of gurus, and then certainly how much less we hear about them since COVID hit?
Yeah, I would definitely say a lot of them out there decided to be gurus because their real estate career never took off, and they don't want to leave real estate. So instead they tried to replace it with starting a course or being some kind of guru. So a lot of them speak about things that they've heard and not necessarily facts. So a lot of the times they speak incorrectly. Sometimes they're just willing to do things that they know are outright illegal. I definitely believe that rules are meant to be broken, but laws are not. You know, I'm never gonna risk everything that I have for any amount of money. So when I say rules are meant to be broken, you know, if you can do something to get past an inspection, or if you can do something to get a seller to sell a house to you, you know, any ways around things, that's fine. But, you know, there's just some people that are teaching people how to go to jail.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You know, I had a funny experience. I told you about this, Jawad, a couple of weeks ago, where someone approached me and they were like, hey, you're Jawad Dashti's realtor. And I was like, I'm one of them. And she kept pressuring me, wanting to know how could she get next to Jawad Dashti, and also if I would train her how to get next to Jawad Dashti. And my answer was, have integrity and bring him some value. To which she answered, there are no deals to be had. Everything's just awful. There are no deals to be had. Which makes me wonder why people like Jawad can still find things to buy and why I can still find things to buy. So first part, I'd like to ask you, what do you think about those people that just want to get next to you? And I have no idea what reason why. They're not trying to learn and they're not trying to bring you something. And the second thing, are there still deals out there to be had, in your opinion?
There's always deals. There's always deals. Always, always, always. And I've heard for the past 10 years that there's no deals, but you know, me and you both have been buying this entire time. You just bought 2 commercial buildings with an apartment complex for literally nothing. So there's definitely deals out there. People just got to see them, and sometimes you need a different set of glasses to see them. And every day, like I said, the more you learn, the more opportunities you see. You don't always know a deal. So the people that say there are no deals out there are people that don't understand enough about real estate, or they're just not looking. Because there's a lot of people that think they're looking, but they're not really looking. And that's like the people that say, hey, I can't get a girlfriend, but, they're sitting at home. It works the same way. But, I would definitely say all the deals are definitely always out there. You just got to be looking for the opportunity and know it when you see it.
Well, I certainly agree. There seem to be more deals than I can actually take down. And, I always think there'll be some more later. Just because I can't get those, I can catch on to something else. Let me ask you.
Yeah, now going back to what you were saying about people trying to be around you. I used to love that and let everybody around me, thinking that everybody was going to provide some kind of value. Like I said, I'm always open to learning something from anybody. Just like how everything on YouTube is garbage, but I still watch all the videos just to see if there's the hair or something I can learn. But I learned that everybody that wanted to be around me only wanted to take. Take. I literally just had somebody message me yesterday on Instagram and was like, hey, do you offer mentorship? And I was like, what are you trying to provide? And they were like, I'm not trying to give you anything, LOL. Are you serious? What would you want? And I'm like, well, you're coming to me and asking me for something. Why is it a joke that I want to know what you bring to the table? Because the most important thing to me is not real estate or my money, it's my time. And that's the thing that I've become very, very protective of. And now I understand when you watch like the movies and news and stuff, and you see that a lot of successful people seem like they're jerks, and which I always thought they were. And you're like, it's just 5 minutes of your time. Well, you got to realize that 5 million people want 5 minutes of your time. And by 5 minutes, they really mean 5 days. And you just got to protect your time from people that just want to take from you. They want to take your time. They want to take your money. They want to take what you know. And then they want to compete against you with it. So I don't want to share any of that. I'm sure, everybody should be protective of that unless somebody is trying to bring value to the table as well. Because that's what a partnership is. That's what a relationship is. It's what do you bring to the table and how can we do this together? And if they're not trying to do it too and they're just trying to ride on your back, you're not going to go far. So I definitely make sure to be very protective of that.
I completely agree. And to just add on to that, Jawad, what is your position about partnerships in real estate?
I have never had a partnership because I've seen 999 out of 1,000 go wrong. And the reason why is you and your partner have to not only now, but in the future, be on the exact same path. Because what if you want to sell and he doesn't? What if you have to sell and your partner doesn't? What if your partner is getting a divorce and in the divorce, you don't want that person's spouse to be your business partner? And how do you know this person actually has your best interest? And so the only partnerships I do is like I do with you, where we're not buying stuff together, but we work together. And you just got to be very cautious. I hate to have to say that all the time, but in every part, you just have to be cautious. And that's part of what a mentor is there for, is to say, hey, this person's not really good, that, hey, this person seems okay, do business with this person, because I have other partnerships where, like my title company, that's a relationship that I have, and, or a bookkeeper or things like that. And so referrals through relationships like that, which make or break my business. So that's definitely where a good mentor comes in as well, to kind of protect you. But then again, that kind of goes back to what to expect from your mentor. I always try to explain, like, you're flying a plane and your mentor is a person in the tower. They're not going to load the plane for you. They're not going to put the passengers on the plane for you. They're not going to fly the plane for you, but they're going to guide you the entire way. And if you're going to crash, they're going to be there to try to get all the emergency services to make sure that you come out okay. And so, just like with Julie, anytime she's got a property, she'll run it by me, kind of put a second set of eyes on it. Hey, what do you think? We'll kind of do a little master of the month together, and just see, well, what's the best way that we could do this? And I think some people think that when you get a mentor, they're going to go out, drive with you every day, help you find the first house, write the contract for you. They're going to fund it for you, remodel it for you. Like, if they were going to do all that, they would just do the deal and make the $100,000 or the $1 million and make a lot more money and have a lot less stress. So people need to understand that they're there as a guide, not as your employee.
Exactly. One of the things I try to communicate is that you need to value the time of your mentor. I mean, it's a blessing to you to have that person if you've chosen correctly in your life. So you should constantly make sure they feel value and, bring them something, bring them some kind of value. I don't understand why people think mentors should serve everyone for free. I have gotten that. A couple of weeks ago, was it, Jawad? Someone called me who was asking me about you, whether or not you were a good mentor. And I was so annoyed with the conversation. I told Jawad I wouldn't touch him. He just seems like somebody that would suck your time.
No, you don't even know how it ended. So afterwards, it was like, all right, it's done. I'm zelling some money to lock my place in. I want to do this together. And then he was like, oh, my bank said it's going to be like a 3-day hold. And then after, and I'm not following up with him because he either wants to do it or not. I'm not going to pressure him. And then 3 days later, he was like, oh, I just really don't think that I can do this. And I was like, if you don't think you can, then don't. And he was like, I'll reach it back out to you in a year. And I was like, please don't. Like, and it's not because you can or can't afford it or whatever's going on. It's that he didn't value my time. And he shouldn't have came and approached me without knowing that it's what he wanted to do. But yeah, I definitely, like I said, I'm very protective of my time.
I agree with you. I have a friend who is starting a pretty amazing business as well. And it's kind of interesting how other people are seeing what's coming together. And now that they can see that it's lifting off, they're like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it. And some of them weren't around when he was struggling to lift off, but now that he is, they're trying to jump on the plane and ride with him. What would you say? And have you ever had such a thing happen to you?
Here's the thing. Like, me and you have definitely rode together, but you had to earn that, because I'm not going to go waste my time all day, driving around doing all this stuff for you. But you were like, hey, Jawad, I found this great deal. You sent me the deal. I agreed it's a great deal. And you were like, hey, I got it under contract. Can you go look at it with me? Yeah, I'm definitely going to, because you got under contract and you're not wasting my time. Like, this is something that's definitely going to happen unless we find something ridiculous. But to just drive around with them all day, I think the fact that they think that you have the time for that. I mean, I don't know how much money somebody would be paying you, but I know that if you factor in how much money I make a year, I probably average about $1,000 an hour doing things that benefit me. And so for somebody to think that I'm going to spend an 8-hour day driving around with them for a couple $1,000s or whatever, it's not feasible. It doesn't make sense. And it would only make sense if, like, you're really pulling the trigger right now at this second, and it's the best thing to protect you, then yeah, I can see that. So I would definitely find it odd that somebody would think that you could just take a week off and, you know, play the maybe game with them. They would need to earn that from you.
You know, I like the concept of saying that you need to earn the time from a mentor. I think I need to add that to my vocabulary. You have to have some kind of reason for them to spend their limited resources with you. Are there any are there any choices you might have made another way, given all you know now about anything in your past?
As far as what? As far as helping somebody, or just
either being a mentor or a real estate deal, anything along those lines?
Well, you already know that I definitely decided that I don't like mentoring people. I don't think it's worth it for me. And the reason why is you've seen people pay me a lot of money and never call me again. Never hear from them again. And I don't want to do that. I don't want something that's not beneficial for both people. I've also had people pay me a lot of money and call me at 3 a.m. And I'm like, why are you calling me at 3 a.m. about this idea that you had? Like, you know, so it's the only way that I ever found that it was something pleasant for me was when the other person wanted to hear what I had to say, because a lot of people don't. They just want you to agree with them. And they actually go out and do it. And, you know, as much as I want to rag on that, you know, I've paid $5,000 to go to a place and do this thing before, and I paid it and I never went. So I'm not hating on people that have done it. It wasn't mutually beneficial, and it has to be mutual. And people think, well, I paid you this, so now I own you. You're my slave. And those are the people that, you know, I would recommend, Julie, that you stay away from, because there's a lot of people like that.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people think that because they paid you X amount of money that you owe them something. And yes, there are things that you know, need to be doing for them, but they also have to earn. And so just like when you're dating somebody, if I go out and buy a girl dinner, it doesn't mean she has to sleep with me. I can't just, like, you know, handcuff her and be like, no, I bought you dinner, like, you owe me this. You still have to earn it. You still have to romance her, right? And you know me, I'm always going to use
oh gosh
the most, but it's the truth. It's things people have to hear for them to really understand. So I don't care if you pay somebody $5,000, $10,000, $100,000. You don't own them. You still have to earn your place. That just was to get their attention. So you still have to go out and you still have to find the deals. But yes, call them. Hey, how do you think I should find these deals? And when they tell you, you have to go do it after that. Like, they're not going to go do it for you. And a lot of people have that problem. They won't go put it into action. And then after they do, you've earned it. You've earned the next step. You've earned the next step of, let's get it under contract. If you need help, call me and I'll walk you through the contract. And, you know, once you do that, you've earned to the next spot. Well, how about a lender? yeah, let me refer some people in my partnership network. And so the point that I'm just trying to make without being too inappropriate is just because you buy somebody dinner doesn't mean they have to sleep with you at night. And it works the same way in a mentor-mentee. It always has to be a mutual relationship. It has to be beneficial for both people.
No, I hear that. I get that a lot or used to more when I was trying to do real estate for clients. They kind of think they can talk to you any kind of way, treat you kind of way, and make you give up your commission. I won't say everyone did that, but there were some. Could you share, because there are some realtors in the room, could you share what you wish realtors knew about investors a little bit? Because I know there are some you don't think very highly of, but.
Which realtors knew about investors?
What you wish realtors knew about
What
investors.
I wish?
Yes.
Anything. Anything at all. As you know, like Tanya's a realtor now, and the more realtors that she deals with, the more I'm realizing that a lot of these realtors don't know anything about real estate. And I'm not saying that to be offensive to anybody, but what they teach you at Champions and all these other places is nothing. Like, there's realtors that I've seen that was like, what does tenant occupied mean? I'm like, are you kidding me? So I think if a realtor added being an investor to their tool belt, that even if they didn't utilize it so much as a investor, it would make them more powerful as a realtor, because you can better serve your clients. You can find better deals that you didn't know were deals. You could sell a lot more because you understand the process. So yes, Julie, you are one of my realtors, because you know that everybody's going to throw a fit if I don't throw them in the circle. But you already know that I prefer to use you the most because you actually understand the concept. And some people just have me pulling out my hair.
You know, one of the concepts they have in investing, being able to understand what is the actual or after repair value of a property. So Jawad gets a lot of stuff that doesn't look great at first, and I like the distressed, ugly properties as well. But to get a good eye for what it's going to be worth when it's finished, being able to see the vision and from where it is to where it could be. How many people do you think, even in the investing world, can do that well?
I think that there are a lot of investors. I don't know. That's really hard to say.
Okay.
I think. Sorry, you cutting out?
No, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I just think that that there are a lot of investors out there that I think could do more and that could utilize a realtor like that more. And I don't know. I mean, what all do you want me to explain from that?
Well, I guess what I'm getting to is that something as simple as knowing what your end goal is supposed to be with the property, what's its highest and best use.
Yeah, I like that, the ARV and everything. Yeah. So, I mean, you already know. There's even realtors out there and investors that can't tell you what an ARV is, you know. And same thing goes for appraisers. I mean, it's a lot of people. Mostly comes down to not putting in the work. But the biggest part is people just not knowing how to do things. And if they do know how to do it, like not knowing the proper steps. I mean, I just had an appraisal come in on my 8-unit apartment complex where they valued it at $300,000. And I was like, look, if this thing's worth $40,000 a door, I'll buy all of them. Like, we're in DFW, can you get apartments for $40,000 a door? I sold the ones in Grand Prairie, which were not good at all, for $100,000 a door. But the appraiser never went in the units, and he pulled comps from 166 miles away. So you can't do that. And it just comes down to a lack of understanding how to do your job and wanting to do it.
Jawad, is that a unit you have under
details.
contract?
No, it's one that I'm refining. I paid cash for it.
Ah.
1031 exchanged into it and raised the rents and now refining it.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, this is really an opportunity, so I hope somebody somewhere asks a question of Jawad, because I pepper him with questions whenever I have his time. Does anybody have something they want to ask? Because I won't keep him if we don't.
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
First of all, I just want to say thank you, both Julie, for extending your network and your mentor to us. And thank you, Jawad, for your time. Just new getting back into it and just want to learn. So I feel like I like what you said, Julie, about the people in your life and how whether friends, family, close, whether you really have to make sure you're only dealing with the people who are investing in you. So I really appreciate that comment. So just here to learn, back in there, trying to multitask. But just again, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Jawad. Thank you for everyone showing up today.
You're welcome. Okay.
You have to have somebody that has a question, because
Yeah.
if they don't have a question, I don't understand why they have a mentor.
I don't know. Oh, sorry, who?
I have a question. I have one question too, but okay.
Okay, somebody, SB, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, Mr. Jawad, I wanted to know, you've been working in real estate as an investor, as someone deeply involved in the surrounding area of Texas. Do you have like a long range plan, like the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, where you would like to be as far as your portfolio?
I actually am probably the only person that doesn't set goals as far as my portfolio. And the reason why is every friend I know that's doing good in real estate and goes, my goal is to get 100 doors. My goal is to get 500 doors. It cripples them. And the reason why is your goal is always to be profitable. And the second that you change that to just own a certain amount, then your focus is in the wrong place. And they started buying things that they shouldn't have bought. And I think it set them back 10 years. And so I always have a next step, but I never really have a plan.
And do you feel that works well when you kind of like open that type of mindset up to other people? Do they kind of engage in that, or they feel like, okay, I want to stick with this 100 doors? After you explain just how you told us how that would work, how that worked for you in the best way possible.
A lot of people decide that they still want to do what they want to do. Like I said, a lot of people ask my opinion, but don't necessarily want it. They just want me to say that I agree with what they believe. Yeah, there's a lot of people who still do it that way, and every single one of them, I think, cripples them. Because, of course, I want to own a high rise that's worth $50 million or, things like that. But I'm not going to make it my goal, because I guarantee you I could find one right now. I found one that was $20 million last year that I could have bought. I had the money for it, but I'm not there yet, because it's not that I didn't find the deal. I did. It's not that I don't have the funding. I do. It's that there's a lot of things about a high rise I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand the process of raising the rents and refinancing the property, but I don't know anything about a boiler. I don't know things about the code. And everybody I know that tries to make a plan, of course, with our great egos that we all have, they overshoot. And when they overshoot, they plan bigger than themselves. And I see it go bust every time.
Okay, thank you for that clarity and comments. Very helpful to understand your point of view.
Hey, Jawad, I have a question from someone on Facebook. Can you go a little deeper in finding deals and what actions to take? And that comes from Chris Warren.
That's going to be a little hard because as far as finding the deals, I found them everywhere. You know, I found them on Facebook. I found them through friends. I found them through referrals. I found them through realtors, other investors that know what I like to buy and where I like to buy it. And just every time I drive, I go a different direction. So if I'm going to Julie's house, which is an hour from me, I don't just go up 30 every time. I'll go a different way, and drive past properties. And, you know, maybe I see a for sale by owner sign. Maybe I see something abandoned and I look it up. You know, I just always make sure that I am in front of the opportunities, and I make it a 24/7 job. Like, even if I'm at a bar, if I hear somebody say the word house, like I was at the Gaylord the other night. And I was at the bar. I was at a steakhouse. The same one me and you ate at before. Remember that?
Yes, I did.
With Dave Hill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was eating there, and I kept hearing like people saying house. And that's the only word I'd hear because they're pretty far away. And I'm like, man, what are they talking about? I'm like ignoring everybody at my table trying to figure it out. And, you know, I saw them all go to the bar. So when we were done, I'm like, let's go to the bar. And I went and asked them what was going on. And it was a appraisal district convention for everybody that works for the appraisal districts. And there were senators there. There was hedge fund managers there. And I got to talk to a lot of people, expand my network, got a couple leads. And it's because I never turn it off.
Okay. Hey, Jawad, we have Sandra that would like to ask a question. Sandra, go ahead and unmute and ask your question, please.
Oh, okay, thank you. So Julie explained to us how she became your mentee, and you became her mentor. My question to you is, did you have a mentor, and how did they become your mentor?
Yes and no. So I would tell you that I've never had a mentor, but for anybody to say that they did anything on their own is a lie. You know, everybody's like, oh, I did this on my own. You know, growing up in life, my grandfather was my mentor, not about real estate, but how to be a man. And when I worked in construction, there was a realtor that, you know, me and him have never had a one-on-one conversation in my life, but I watched him be a contractor who got his realtor's license and started buying rental properties. And then I watched that he started adding second floors of these rental properties. And then I watched that he started becoming a home builder, and I got inspired. So I would consider him a mentor, but of course, like, we never had a one-on-one relationship. I was just inspired by him and learned what I could by watching. If I had a mentor, I probably would have gotten a lot farther, a lot faster. But I mean, I've had friends that I consider mentors just because, you know, we talk to each other and we learn from each other. I had a friend who recently passed away, and, you know, one day he was like, hey, I own over 100 houses and I want to learn about Section 8. And he asked me to come to his house, and I taught him about Section 8. And in return, he introduced me to a couple of banks and got me an unlimited amount of money to where I could buy as many properties as I want. So I was his mentor and he was mine.
Okay, thank you. I guess, you know, mentorship can come in several different ways, you know, informal, formal, you know, and people who inspire you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jawad, that was kind of a mastermind. You brought a skill, he brought a skill, and you both left with more than you came together with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And about the finding deals, one of my favorite deals is, well, I love to go garage sale shopping. Anybody that knows me well, before COVID,
Well,
especially.
wearing a bib.
Anyway, stop with that. So Saturdays, Fridays, I was out garage sale shopping, and one day I was at a sale and I heard the woman say that her uncle wanted to sell the house. And I was like, oh, really? He's interested in selling the house. I said, do you mind if I have a look at the house and I get his number? And so she was like, fine. So I went and looked at the property and was like, hey, I'll make an offer. So the uncle called me and said, this is what he wanted. And I said, yeah, I'm not paying that. It's not worth it. This is why. I gave him my offer. I said, you know what? Hold on to it. Let me know if it works out for you. And then, sorry, so barking let me know somebody's in front. Anyway, I gave him the offer and he sat on it for a while and then called me and said, well, okay, I'll take your offer. And I said, fine. And then during the option phase, I got a little more money off of him. So to me, that was great. That was fun because I was doing what I do anyway. Like Jawad said, just whatever it is you're doing, always pay attention to possible deals. So those are always there. Not to mention, Jawad just said he was at an appraisers conference. He not only probably heard something about deals, he probably made another connection that will do him well. So don't forget, it's not just about the deal. Sometimes you make a good connection that gets you a deal. So thanks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Let's see, are there any other questions? Because it's almost time and I'm really appreciative of Jawad's time to come here. All right, well, again, sorry, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, we have a few minutes with Mr. Jawad. I keep having this ideal in my head about fail to win. You have to fail to be able to win. Can you share with us a moment where there was a moment in your career in this environment, this real estate environment, where there was a big failure, and how did you overcome that?
Okay, well, Julie already knows that I'm a pretty cocky person. I tell people I've never failed in my life. I made a lot of mistakes, but I don't consider them failures because I just wasn't done yet. So I don't consider it anything I've done to be a failure, but there's a lot of things that I definitely think I could have done differently. With my first house, I shouldn't have sold it. Any house that I've sold, I probably shouldn't have sold.
I regret
because every house that I sell, for double or triple what I bought it for, now it's worth 100 times more. But yeah, there's, like I said, I'm always learning and fine-tuning my strategies, and doing so, I always take on a little bit of risk, but never enough that I'm willing to lose everything. But I definitely steered different directions to see what I like, and sometimes things aren't the way that I want them to be. I've never lost money on a property, thank God. A lot of people have lost a lot.
Me.
But I've never lost money on a property, but there's definitely a lot of things that I could have done better and made my life a lot easier. That's for sure.
Well, I certainly want to jump on and share that I was in a business partnership that did not go well. And it was horrible for me. But coming out of that, I have learned a lot. I've made new strategic alliances. I've prepared myself to do things that maybe I wouldn't have done had it not been for that. So while that was a very painful experience that I don't want to repeat, like never do I want to repeat that. I'm thankful for the lessons that came from it, not from the experience. I'm not thankful for that, but I'm thankful for the fact that I had solid people around me to help find the silver lining and find the foundation to do even better things. So what trauma or obstacle puts in your path, if you survive it, that means you've learned something that you didn't know before that will help you in the future as long as you let it.
And you can pay it forward, that experience.
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things about being in the situation that I was is I was very embarrassed. So in addition to it being a negative experience, I I had been pretty cocky about what I'd done. I had progressed fairly quickly. I thought everything I touched turned to gold, and I took my eye off of what was happening and then got myself in a bit of a quandary. So being able to admit that and share it so that somebody else, hopefully, praise God, can learn from that experience. I will talk about it all day, every day. I won't even try to prevaricate and say it wasn't my fault. There were things I could have done differently. I should have kept my eye on what was going on. I knew things were going awry, but I thought, oh, if I can just get to this point, then I can extricate myself from the situation. And I waited too long. And anyway, so most of you who know who I am have heard the story. It was horrible, lost a lot of money, learned a lot. Jawad was a constant source of support through it. And I got some other supportive people, but yeah, I don't want to make that same mistake again. I'm sure I'll make something else. I'll misstep somehow. I try to learn from everything. So be that kind of person no matter what it is you're doing. Learn from everything that you experience. Yeah. Shantae, is your hand still up or is it up again?
Well, it was up, but I could keep asking questions with Mr. Jawad. My last question, and I don't want to hog this time, I wanted to know what his thoughts are about the landscape with cryptocurrency in relation to real estate in the future for consumers as well as business individuals in the real estate game.
Okay,
and that's
Shantae,
it. I'm putting my hand
that's a big ass question, but go ahead, Jawad, take it as
you I definitely am a fan of crypto. I wish that crypto had never been something that went up in value, because I think it took so many people's eyes off the value that you could actually get from cryptocurrency. Just like NFTs, you know, everybody's like, oh, let me buy this picture NFT. NFTs are so much more than a picture. People don't understand. I bought tickets to a Mavs game a month ago, and my Ticketmaster ticket was an NFT. On Home Depot, my Pro Rewards coupon is an NFT. These pictures that people are buying for $30,000 are nothing. They're things steering people off the path of the power of how much crypto is going to change our lives. But I think a lot of it's happening behind the scenes to where we haven't seen how much it can change and will. So I believe in it, but I think that we got a ways to go before we really see the power of what it can do to change and automate a lot of problems in our lives.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question? Okay, I don't see anything on Facebook. I don't see. Well, Jawad, thank you for coming on. I have a few things I need to say to the group before we leave. So if you need to hop off, fine. If you want to stay, great. I just really
I'll
appreciate
hop out of here so I can eat dinner.
Okay. Well, give my best to Tanya. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye. All right, so that was Jawad. He is pretty special. I don't know if you guys got what you were looking for from it. I always learn a little something from him. He had the metaphor of a mentor is someone that's in the control tower. You're flying your own plane. You're loading your own passengers. You're maintaining your own plane. You either rented or bought your own plane. I kind of like that. I think it's appropriate for what a good relationship should be. And just like, you know, coach, mentor, whatever you call it, a basketball coach isn't out there on the court teaching or playing the game. He is teaching the players how to play the game. He doesn't necessarily have to have played the game. He just needs to be able to bring some value to the players of the game. And I would like everyone to learn that if they want a mentor, they have to look within themselves to find what it is they want to do so they can determine what they need so they can find the person who can give it to them. There's a lot of work to be done before you just go shopping for a mentor. And I hope everyone takes that into account. Personality style is also something to work with. I'm pretty straightforward, not very sentimental, and sometimes not very tactful. I mean, I use that word, but that's not the right one that I want. Anyway, working with a plain speaker like Jawad has been absolutely perfect for me. He says it in a way that I can understand, no misunderstandings, gets me on the right path. I think that sometimes what he has said to me, somebody else might perceive as harsh. And sometimes what I've said might be perceived as harsh. But I love with the truth. You know, I'm not trying to lead people down the wrong path because I'm afraid to say the very hard thing they need to hear. And sometimes the hard thing they need to hear is, you're wasting too much time bringing yourself down. Get your amazing self up, stand up on your own two very able feet, and go and do the things that I believe that you can do and that you should believe. But until you do, I believe that you can do them. So that's the kind of mentor and coach that I am. So I'm not for everybody. Jawad's not for everybody. Those people who have a lot of people aren't for everybody. So if anybody has a question about that, you know, let me know. Otherwise, it's 7:03 and it's been fun. I hope everybody's gotten something from it. And I hope to see you next Thursday. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to close this down. Thank you guys for coming. And I hope
Thank you, Jules.
Thank you, Sandra. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of the night. Okay.